It's been a very long time since I've last had a look at the games of the man right over here in the top left-hand corner of Ghost River. Playing with the blue Protoss pieces, we have none other than Florencio. His opponent in this particular match, he sent over 2 replays for me to go ahead and cast. Apparently the man who enjoys driving in last place. At least judging by the little blue shell. With the red Protoss pieces in the top right-hand corner, we have none other than Maleficent. Now, in case you're unfamiliar, Florencio plays really dirty StarCraft. This man, I remember years ago, one of the very first strategies I ever saw him do was build a Nexus inside of his opponent's main base, and then recall a whole lot of zealots into the main of the opponent. That was my very first introduction to a Florencio game. And that was only... okay, I'm gonna already have to back up. That was only the very tip of the iceberg. He's got a bunch of build orders that are very nasty, like this. This doesn't look like much, but this is him stacking 2 probes together. I remember him going for a 1 base all-in once upon a time as well, by stacking all of the probes in such a way that it looks like it's only a single worker. Apparently he's now doing that with 2 probes instead of... Yeah, so what you do is you right-click them 17 times onto the gas geyser, and then the scouting worker looks like 1 scouting worker. At least when you quickly glance at it. So he's built a proxy forge over here, and then he's sending 2 probes across the map. And I would imagine that the plan is to show the opponent one of them as a scouting worker, and then the other one quickly gets split off to the corner of the main? I think. I don't know. Let's see. Florencio, though, plays some of the most brilliant StarCraft strategies I've ever seen. After 14 years, still reinventing the meta. Now, how are we going to do this? This looks like a single probe. Why are we stacking 2 probes? Oh, he left one behind! He left one behind! There's one pretending to be a red worker. Okay. A single pylon has been planted down over here. I don't think Maleficent has noticed. Here's another one going down right now in the back. This is a distraction strategy. Yep, he's now built 4 probes over here in the back of the opponent's main base. And Maleficent is going to be wondering at this point where this came from. Now, this is, by the way, High Diamond, if I'm not mistaken. So, High Diamond League. Woo! That was clutch. Gateway just barely goes down in time. So, these are by no means weak opponents. It's just a lot of those strategies that you rarely see. Nice cancel right there on that second cannon. Okay, cannon will probably continue over here, I would imagine. Although, apparently, we're going to continue planting down some pylons. The gateway is just here, a service area. And it looks like, yeah, the first photon now is done. That pylon will be cancelled. And even though cannon rushes are relatively uncommon these days, especially the higher you climb. Oh, no, wall him in. No. Yeah, now you're stuck in the main base with them. This is still working out. In order to get a cannon rush to work, apparently a lot of stars do have to align. But it looks like the cannon rush has been successful. Now, where do we go from here? What do we do now? Because this is not looking like it's going to win the game straight up. We have to have some sort of follow-up. Apparently, we're going to try and create a little bit of a photon cannon contain as well. 2 of the photons here, though, are indeed within range of the Nexus. Probe is sneaking back in, but I don't think it's going to meet up with the rest. Nope, that's going to be the end of that. So maybe Maleficent, who does have 400 minerals, so nicely done right there by the Protoss in red. Yeah, he can start up a Nexus right over here on the low ground. And this is going to force a response right now from Florencio. From Florencio? Okay, let's go with that. From Florencio. There you go. I know words. It's a little messy. I think we could probably long distance mine and return some minerals over here. I mean, he's maybe even able to save the Nexus itself. Battery overcharge is coming in very clutch. I think this is actually still survivable. Yeah. And what was looking like a really easy all-in right here from the Salt Bay is now turning into a very tough situation. I mean, he's making a zealot inside of the opponent's main base too, but where exactly do we take this game from here? He's actually got the zealot misrallied on accident. It will be recalled back home. Okay. So what do we do now? What is the follow-up plan from here? This was a cannon rush that looked very successful, and I think it did about as much damage as it, could have. There were about 17 smart little tricks pulled off, but did it actually get justified? Ultimately, where we are right now is in a situation where the opponent has got a second base. They have a tech advantage, and they are, 6 workers behind. Obviously, they lost a lot of they lost a lot of mining time during this game, but I think that is something you can recover from. In the meantime, we've got a cyber core going down together with a second gateway. What is going to be the tech of choice? It will be a robo facility. There is still a probe out onto the map. I know Florencio is also a big fan of going for a proxy nexus. If he feels like that would be the play, he could, for example, make an expansion right over here or maybe right over here. He is selecting this worker. There was a single sentry produced as well, so this looks to me like something that he just wants to keep in the main base and prevent the Protoss player in red here from breaking. Fair enough. What's the robo facility for, though? What are we gonna get out of the robo? Pylon was built at the bottom of the map. There is no Twilight Council, so we can't really make a lot of use out of any of this. Second sentry just finished up. It's gonna be an immortal for now, so I think this is really just for base defense. We'll have to keep an eye out on what the line of attack is going to be. Force field. Okay, perfect force field. Slices off about, well, half of those units. That's about the best case scenario here, other than, well, losing the zealot, I suppose, but you don't actually want to block all the units out. You want to try and invite a couple of them into your base. Now it looks like Maleficent, though, will find out exactly what he was playing against all this time. It was a proxy forge. Nexus coming up at the bottom right-hand corner of the map. But in the meantime, our blue-shelled menace has been, he's been playing from the back foot, much like the blue shell. But he is climbing once again up in this game. Now, there is this weird moment, right, where you're going up against a player who's stuck on X amount of bases, and you assume that you can out-macro them. You do, however, always have to scout for any hidden bases that are out on the map. Ghost River is relatively small. There's only a very limited amount of bases on this map, so there aren't really that many locations to check. But my main question is, does Maleficent still actually have, you know, the mental headspace here to be thinking about such things? Because a lot of those games are very chaotic. It may be obvious as a observer to think about, yeah, no, this would be... He's even making a photon cannon at home right now. Yeah, he's assuming that this is going to be a one-base all-in right now from the opponent. Now, a Nexus is finishing. Flo is definitely still pretty far behind, though, as far as the worker count goes, but we will apparently see at least some of the probes trying to make their way down south. Are we gonna recall? I think we're gonna recall everything, aren't we? Yeah. This is all gonna make its way towards the bottom right-hand corner. These boots, as a matter of fact, were not made for walking, and we're gonna go for an hallucinated Colossus. I mean, another scare tactic. Stalkers are still going around, though, and they will find the base. So nicely done right here by Maleficent. He realizes now what he's going up against. A second hallucinated Colossus. Now, hallucinations in StarCraft 2 don't do any damage, but they are also quite difficult to detect. The HP bar, or the duration bar right here at the top of this, does not actually show to the opponent. He doesn't see these units in a different color either, unless there's detection nearby. They are, by the way, covering for the Immortals. The Immortals, in the meantime, are plowing through all of the Stalkers, but a couple Stalkers here at the bottom of the map have taken care of all of those workers that were mining in that base. Robo facility for the player in red does get shut down. Do we have energy for one force field? Doesn't look like it. But Florencio's actually thinking about just marching straight into the main base. You know what? He may be onto something. Nicely done. One force field, yeah, does slice off about half of the units, but unlike the other side of the map, there is not enough follow-up here. Those hero stalkers that were going across, yeah, no, they got massacred. They originally had a third brother, but they have joined him now in death. Yeah. 13, 10, and 7 kills. Another filthy strategy, man. Absolutely disgusting. You first? Well, hey, that's my thumbnail apparently, huh? Easiest thumbnail of my life. I know that must have been satisfying to type. Yeah, that's gotta be very satisfying when your opponent is Batmanering you. You are so bad. Easy. All right. Well, hey, if you needed any further proof that this was Diamond League, I think that's it. Yeah, no, I think that's it. There's a lot of salt. There's a lot of salt in the StarCraft 2 letter scene, but okay. I think there's more salt. I think there's exponentially more salt in Diamond League than anywhere else. The sodium intake on the NA ladder in Diamond League is insane. Another Immortal, by the way, has come across the map. And this may be one of those situations because of the BM where our player in red has decided to not leave. You don't even know how to cheese, right? Telling Florencio he doesn't know how to cheese? Alright. It's ambitious. Alrighty, next up, we find ourselves on Amphion. Once more, with the blue Protoss pieces. He actually queued this game up as a random, according to the loading screen of this particular replay. But he spawned in with his main race. It's Florencio, the Salt Bay, and his opponent, just trying to survive with the red Zerg drones. We're looking at Go Gators. Wait, this is Neuro's clan. Oh yeah, it's Neuro's clan. All right, anyways, Go Gators' main hatchery. Let us have a look then, huh? 2 more probes going across the map. One of them in the natural. Where is the other one going to go? Fair enough. This natural expansion will be blocked. We have 2 pylons on the production tab at minute 0. Okay. Yeah, alright. Not usually the norm. Obviously, the original max specs build started off with pylon, pylon, gateway. This is pylon, pylon, gateway, gateway. Every good thing in this game comes in pairs of 2. Hatchery finally planted down right now for the Gators, but I don't think that's... I don't think that's what we really want to be, yeah, no. I don't think that's what we're aiming for. Is this a 4th gateway? Yep. A 4-gate. This is the most dead hatchery that I've ever seen. Like, this hatchery doesn't yet know that it's dead, but it's very dead. It is the deadest hatchery. Much like the Dead Sea, there's a lot of salt. Anyways, you can't afford a fortress, man. We can't actually produce out of the gateways now. Can we? I mean, he's been cutting a lot of probes. There's only a handful of workers in the main base. So despite playing 1 base right now, Go Gators is actually ahead economically. Not usually a situation that Zerg players find themselves in, but he doesn't know about this high ground, right? So he has no clue. Go Gators is, he's in for a nasty surprise. Yeah, I think because of the forts, it's actually difficult to afford anything, but I think Salt Bay here is doing it because of the potential for a Zergling counterattack. A 5th gateway coming up. I think this is mostly just here to buy a little bit of time so the Zealots can actually get some work in. And that indeed is going to be shutting down the first couple drones over at that newly acquired base. It takes about 5 links to kill a Zealot like that, so I think the counterattack here is good. Yeah, counterattack makes a lot of sense, but then at the same time, this gets spotted and a photon cannon is building at home. Zergling speed is about maybe 60% of the way done. Couple defensive spine crawlers here too. Brenda is running away, but she's not very fast off creep. I think this might be, yeah, time for a full wall off, and that's exactly what happens. Queen may try and get back. She may try and inject the base, and she succeeded, but that injection is never gonna pop off. As 5 zealots very quickly make work of it. Okay. So now what? Recall on the zealots. I think that means you cancel the... Yep. You cancel that gateway, and we continue playing the macro game. Cybercore goes down. I wouldn't mind seeing one photon cannon go up over on this side, to be honest. Yeah. Mostly just because this needs to be protected. This infrastructure is really expensive. Does he see it? Go Gator sees it. Nicely done here by the Zerg. Zealots have their work cut out for them again. They will make their way back home eventually. Back home where they spawned once upon a time, dude. These are kind of like salmon swimming back upstream to go back to where they once, well, they once spawned themselves. You know what? They're actually gonna make it. Looks like the pylons are being shut down at the very least. What do you think is the best zealot dish? There's probably quite a few. Probably tastes like chicken. If I were to be a, if I were to be taking a guess. I feel like zealot probably tastes like chicken. So what do we do now? Where do we take this game? Laris coming up here for Go Gators. And another gateway. This is like gateway number 6 or so in this game. Maybe 7? Coming up right now at home. Yeah, we had 1 cancelled and then 5 on the other side of the map. So that is gateway number 7. 7 gateways within the first 5 minutes on 1 base. Very ambitious. Zealots also having a good time though here against these links. Stargate coming up. So this is now turning into a 1 base Stargate build, whereas the Zerg is going 1 base nydus. Who wins in a situation between 1 base Stargate and 1 base nydus? I would imagine that the most overpowered unit in the early game, aka the Queen, would win that. But we only have 2 of those bad girls. So where do we go from here? I think you have to go Void Ray here. It's the only logical thing, but obviously he doesn't know what the Zerg player is up to in the meantime. Void Ray makes the most sense, even though it's one of the worst units in the game. Okay, he goes build a Nexus over here. He goes Void Ray, yeah. So, Florencio has been cheesing for over a decade at this point. This man, he's been molded by the cheese itself. Most people started off the ladder as honorable macro players. I don't think Florencio has ever been there. He does find the Nydus Worm. Now, there's no queens inside of this. The Zealots are not actually going to win that fight. Couple of photon cannons and a shield battery are coming up. Okay. Void Ray's not going to spawn. Oh, it will. Woo, that was close. Make the beam thick. Make the beam thick. Activate the beam. That's what she... anyways. Okay. Apparently we wanted to have maximum mobility and as little damage as possible. I don't think the Queens are going to win that, though. Nah. They're not going to have an easy time. One of the gas guys is in a little bit of trouble. In the meantime, the Roaches have made their way towards their own natural expansion, and they have shut down the 1 gateway over there. And now they've got their, once they've got the taste of gateway, apparently they're going to continue onwards with some more of that. Shield battery overcharge is going to finish the job. Lucky here, though, for Flo, there is no 3rd queen. I feel like a 3rd. There could have easily been 4 queens with this attack. I think it would have been... Oh, fancy. Maybe a little bit too fancy for his own good. Can we make the beam thick, please? Can we, like... Is this a no thick beam challenge? That is, by the way, never anything I've needed to shout in any of my viewer-submitted games. Generally speaking, I see a lot of players out there activating the prismatic alignment. Oh, now we activate it. Okay. They activated against Zerglings, against anything. Anything gets the thick beam treatment. Now against targets that actually can be... Okay. Fair enough. So to clarify, prismatic alignment, it allows you to deal bonus damage against armored units. Not so useful against units that aren't armored. Although intimidation is something that needs to be considered as well. Robo facility right now on the back of this. There's a little bit of creep around the base. A couple of zealots are right now taking guard. Keep in mind that the creep spread obviously also provides the vision right here for a follow-up nydus. But apparently that's not where we're going to be putting it. Instead, we're going to be putting a nydus in a location where we can't do anything with it. Because this is roaches. It's not like if it was swarm host or something, maybe I could see some usefulness in this. But those roaches are going to have to destroy the rocks first. Obviously, it is a global scream. So Salt Bay here must have heard that... We're going to spread creep? Okay. He must have heard that there is something out there, and he does spot it right now. 3 gateways, by the way, still are here. 2 base fleet beacon now, followed up after all of this early game shenanigans. Where do we take this from here? Okay, so I guess the robo was really just there just to get the observer going. Fair enough. Oh, he's sending drones. Yo, I love that the Gator Man is actually here to wrestle in the mud with him, you know? A lot of players don't want to play this sort of style, but they're here for it. So we're sending 2 drones through the worm. It's very slow going, but eventually we might be able to mine out these tiny little mineral fields. We probably should bring a couple more. But fair enough. Second Stargate right now coming up. Nydus worm behind the mineral wall. Salt Bay doesn't see it. Flo, we gotta go a little further south. Tempest. I mean, Tempest is actually kind of nice. Just really expensive. Florencio had to smash his piggy bank to get one of those units out. Zerglings, or sorry, the drones right now, they're turning into spines and spores. 1 immortal in the main base. The Tempest actually is going to be able to slowly pick away at these units from a bit of a distance. Creep tumor goes across. Couple of misrallied Hydras. Down the meat grinder they go. They try to hug the fence here, but... yeah, that was suboptimal. He wants to break the main base here off the Protoss. Are we going to make the beam thick? No. Are we going to micro the Tempest? Yes. Stargates, though, gets shut down right now since the pylon has disappeared. Careful with the Void Ray here. Hydras are not armored, so they don't take bonus damage from the thick beam. Oh, dude, 1 additional Tempest would actually be huge. Probe's now in a world of trouble, though. Third base, in the meantime, has been finished up by Go-Gators, and he's going to start droning it up. This attack is certainly going to fall down eventually. And we're going to have to think about our next strategy, our next plan. Okay. 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 As the dust settles, who's ahead? Honestly, really hard to say. I don't mind this position here for Go-Gators at all. The main thing for Zerg right now is that Protoss has a lot of tech. Like, this can very quickly turn into a carrier play. Mass Tempest is not to be underestimated. Really, your only viable option here as Zerg is to go into a Spire. And as long as he doesn't take a Spire, I don't really care about his economy. He can have a massive economy. If he doesn't have a Spire, he's not going to be able to fight Mass Tempest. Hydras kind of do it, sort of, but not very well. And once we go up to like 5 Tempest, for example, the Protoss can just point their Tempest at whatever, and they will get the kill. Anything that Zerg really has gets one-shot by 5 of those bad boys. So I think that's exactly what Mr. Salt Bay here is aiming for. Tempest number 4 and 5 are going to be hitting the battlefield soon. In the meantime, there's also a proxy nexus building in the top right-hand corner. Okay. Double Evo chamber. So queens are nice. Queens are very much so the unit that buy time to get the corruptors out. Go-Gator's not going Spire. It means that he's not going to have an easy time. He's got a Hydra Den, and he is still under the assumption that a Hydra Den can actually be good against Tempests. Now, we've all been there, Go-Gators. We've all been there. But it's not optimal. Then again, Spire feels really expensive. Oh, Brenda hit. Brenda hit inside of the nydus worm. I mean, she was saved in the meantime, but... Where's Tempest 4 and 5? Where are they? Oh, they're over here. Not over here yet. Honestly, against Hydras, though, you don't really need that many. Hydras are relatively low HP. And that main base is actually in a world of trouble. Drones have been evacuated now down towards the third base. Probes are being produced in the meantime all the way in the top right-hand corner. Okay. Robo facility going into Disruptor play. I find Disruptors an entirely dangerous unit, especially in Diamond League. About half the times I see Disruptors used in viewer games, they're used to blow up their own units. Which is not great. It's explosive. It's fun to watch, don't get me wrong. But killing your own units is, generally speaking, not the best move. Just to give you a little bit of advice. Okay. Probes have been recalled towards the top right-hand corner. So that way they never have to use their little legs. Which they don't have, by the way. Workers float. Anyways, they don't have to move on over here by themselves. I feel like Florencio is being a little too merciful here, going home. He's got 5 Tempest, and there's nothing that Zerg has that counters Tempest right now. I mean, Hydras can sort of do it, but not really. With good control, you can basically kill everything that Zerg has from a bit of a distance. As a matter of fact, I think I would really have liked to see the Tectonic Destabilizers upgrade and just continue dealing damage to the Zerg structures. It doubles the damage that Tempest do to structures, and at this point there's very little that can actually, like, say you fly the Tempest over here, I think you can probably get a kill on the hatch. Much like the kill in the main base, I think the natural expansion should be not too far behind. Instead though, Florencio let the man cook. He's going into warp gates, and then immediately apparently 7 gateways are gonna be... No, 8 gateways. How many do we have? There have been about 15 gateways produced in this game, but we currently have only 1. Yeah, it's these ones right over here. So these are the only gateways. We're gonna transition into a full-on ground army with a mama ship. Ranged upgrade coming up for the Colossus. Zerg has now taken the high ground base. A single Oracle. An Oracle, 2 of them actually. Going in. And we're gonna just play this out like it's a normal Zerg versus Protoss. I think Go-Gator's actually kind of escaped with his life here. Those Tempest could have done a lot more damage. They already did a lot of damage, but I feel like they could have done even more. Mothership, about halfway done. Go-Gator sticking around on good old comfortable Roach Hydra. I don't mind Roach Hydra, but it is something that fizzles out over time. It's very much so a mid-game unit composition, whereas for Protoss, we already have late-game units. It's a really weird team of late-game units, though. I wouldn't mind a transition towards Corruptors into Brute Lords. I wouldn't mind a transition towards Lurkers into Vipers. But pure Roach Hydra does feel a little bit finicky to me. There is a single stasis ward over here on the high ground. Careful now, little Hydras. We have a bowling flank. Okay. Oh. Trying to catch the Zerg army in the tall grass. I don't think the Tempest are done yet, though. The Tempest can easily pick off this base. When we fight over here, I don't think there's really much you can do. Although, obviously, it's difficult to know exactly where that Zerg army is located. I'm hoping here for GoGators that he's not gonna get stuck playing Roach Hydra. Roach Hydra is really nice until it isn't. And that moment has already come and gone. Mothership? Oh, well, unless we get the perfect engagement, never mind. Florencio sleeping on the job just a little bit there. AFK for like 5 seconds. Maybe the disruptors can help out. I think that was about the best case scenario. Now, indeed, apparently the mothership itself is gonna be targeted down. Big purification Nova, but still a lot of Roach Hydra remains. And I think this is about the absolute most you could have ever asked for from this Zerg army. It required Protoss to be, not paying attention there for about maybe 5-ish seconds. Probably busy macroing at home and trying to warp in some stuff. And suddenly you look back at your main army and you've lost a big chunk of it. Resources lost twice. This is all very okay still here for Flow, but Zerg has a lot more economy. 66 drones, good old Roach Hydra. Any sort of hive tech right now would be really nice. I mean, I'm even talking Ultras. I think this is a game where Ultras could be good. We have already got +1. Okay, we're making a transition. I think the most safe choice to do is probably like the easiest, lowest APM option. The safest all round would probably be Brute Lords. So I wouldn't mind Aspire here into Brutes. Brute Lords counter basically everything here that Protoss has other than Tempest, but there's only one of those still available. Nice Nova. Protoss, though, is kind of fizzling out as far as the economy goes. This is what I love, though, about watching these type of games, because we are now 20 minutes in. And it's really hard for me to actually tell who's ahead here. Like, who is going to be winning this game? I mean, I say that as Zerg goes all the way up of, well, almost triple digits worth of drones. He doesn't quite have the minerals to really mine all of that, but at least he's got the workers to play. Viewer games are always the hardest one to judge. Okay. Another hatchery we'll be building. Yeah, I've done a lot of coaching over the years for Zerg in particular. And this is a very common thing, though, for Zerg players in Diamond League, to sort of just get stuck. We kind of get stuck playing this Roach Hydra ball, and we're not really making a lot of switches. All of this is very late. 21 minutes, though, we're going Hive. We're going Corruptors. And we're also flying a mothership towards the opponent's main base. Now, this can only ever be for a mass recall towards the main base of the Zerg. I don't think you all fit in the circle. Oh, you do? Dang. Apparently, we had to, like, suck in our stomachs there for a little bit, but every single one of them fit in that circle. Suddenly, ooh, the main base has been force-fielded out. Really lovely play right here by Florencio. There's not enough anti-air, though, to deal with all of those Tempest, but I think the ground army right now for Protoss is a little bit too good. Main base is where all of the tech is located, other than the Hive. Force field, apparently not quite perfect, but I think the ground army here from Protoss is just way too good. We have a couple of Novas in the mix as well. Stalkers would have finished the job as well, but it's all okay. Do we have Blink? No, we don't have Blink. There's actually no upgrades at all for Flow, other than the range for Colossus, but no Colossus in his army anywhere. Dark Shrine instead. Okay, we get a little bit of a Purification Nova on some of the reinforcing Hydras. GoGators, though, at this point does have a lot of resources to play with. Good Nova there to finish the job. Speaking of Colossus with ranged, well, those guys didn't need ranged. They were pretending to be a Reaper trying to get up towards that high ground. All of the tech for Zerg is going to disappear, but he's making another Spire. Well, one story down. He's going what seems to be Hydra Corruptor, which is an S tier unit composition. One of the very best out there. The Hive is also still here, though, so maybe going Hydra Corruptor into Brutes? There's still a play. Keep in mind that Florencio is only on 46 workers here. And supply-wise, he's actually not ahead There's once more hallucinated Colossus here. Colossi deal a lot of damage to Hydralisk. They deal bonus damage against light. So this is actually a little bit of a scary fight. Although I do feel like, other than maybe the Novas, Zerg should win this engagement. Good force fields. But no potential here for Stalker Micro. Yeah, the Hydras deal a lot of damage. They are at +2/+1. Fully unupgraded Zerg. Or fully unupgraded Protoss, rather. I don't like the positioning of the Spire, man. I feel like that Spire was made to lose. Okay, move command forward right there on one of the Novas. Okay. Another Disruptor will indeed clip at least some of those units. Reinforcing Stalkers coming in clutch. Corruptors are being made together with Hydras. Reinforcing Colossi have once more walked across the map. They have seen how it went for the previous ones, so they decided to make a very similar play. I don't think I really love the Corruptors in this situation, though. Unless we can morph them into Brute Lords, there's really only a few targets for them to kill. Now, at the very least, there are some Colossi. 2 more are coming up of those as well. Okay. Attack move right here. Nicely done here by the Zerg. Trying to clean all of this up. In the meantime, we have a few Colossi absolutely destroying a mineral line. Recall will be used. Can any of them make it home? Yes. One of them will just barely make it. 13 Hydra still coming up. Go-Gator stuck at 69 workers, which is actually quite nice, especially compared to Protoss, because we haven't had any economy production here for Florencio in a very long time. 18 Hydras just about to pop. Go-Gators is actually going to clean this up. We are once more going to have to go back to the drawing board. This game is still not over. We're 25 minutes in, and we are yet to determine a winner. Yeah. Okay. We have to go and puke on some bases. There's a lot of supply for Zerg caught up in these Corruptors, and they're not really doing anything. We need to go and puke on some stuff, man. We need to use Caustic Spray to get rid of some of these Nexi. I would say that at this point in the game, Zerg is actually ahead. As soon as he spends his money, he's in a really lovely position. It's just that Florencio is doing that Florencio thing where he's getting his opponent's blood pressure to spike ever since minute 2. Go-Gators was on 100 workers. He's still making drones. Florencio never really remade any of his workers. I don't think he's really lost a ton either, but he's basically been on 2 base economy the entire game long. Dark Templar showing up. More blood pressure to spike. Do we have any detection here? Corruptors are here. We have a lair. We need to make some Overseers. Okay, the Overseers are coming. Hatchery is already gone though, but this is obviously that location where those gateways were at the beginning of the game. So maybe the Immortals, or the Dark Templar rather, remember that day. Okay, so attempt number 3. At both a Hive as well as a Spire. Can we finally go into Brute Lords? Keep in mind that this is a Protoss army without Blink. 19 Stalkers without Blink against like 6 Brutes? It's not gonna happen. The Brute Lords are gonna absolutely tear them apart. Assuming there's at least the absolute base micro for Zerg, but the DPS from this Zerg army is significant. He's got a bit of a larva problem, but Brute Lords would also solve that issue. Okay then. Overlord speed, that's what we need right now. I mean, to be fair, we have seen a bunch of Dark Templar. Not a bad play. We're still like a minute or 2 away, though, from any sort of Brute Lords being out. But yep, that is the ultimate plan. Go-Gator's trying to go into Brute Lords. He's going for the Pro Gamer Swarm Host. Larry the Swarm Host is coming right up. And we have more Corruptors. He's going 20 Corruptors. If Florencio attacks right about right now, he's going to hit before Brute Lords are out. And I think he wins the game. If he does not do it soon, and he doesn't know about this Greater Spire transition, he's going to be in a world of trouble. Now, lucky for him, he is actually attacking right now. Go-Gators has got the money to make about 20 Brutes. I think you want to try and sustain this army? Kill the Tempest and get out? Maybe kill the Colossi, sure, but I think you need to get Brutes out. There's about 0% chance you're gonna beat this army with Hydras only. Okay, couple of Archons here dealing a lot of damage. Another base for the Protoss, or for the Zerg player does go down. Stop making Hydras, man. Those Hydras do nothing. It's time to make Brutes. Greater Spire. Takes about 7.5 years to finish. You need to morph into Brutes in at least a somewhat safe location, though. Florencio, not aware of the Greater Spire situation, is now going to suddenly find himself playing against a whole load of units that he cannot easily reach. Obviously, he's got the tech. He can easily make a round of Tempest or a couple rounds of Carriers or something along those lines, but there's not that much money available for Protoss, and this army is not going to cut it. Now, he keeps mixing in a few Tempest. 2 Tempest is actually not bad. I don't think Go Gators can attack, though. No, I don't think you attack. I feel like attacking is very risky. Any attack with Brute Lords is risky. Nice little hit right here by the Dark Templar. Any attack with Brute Lords is dangerous, man. It's pretty much always a one-way trip. Okay. It might be a one-way trip. I understand the urgency, though, because he feels like he needs to get something done, but I think the main goal right here for the Zerg player should be to try and spend that money. He's had 2,000 plus minerals for a long, long time. Okay. At least this attack with the Dark Templar has forced the Zerg back home. I think that's actually working out in his favor, even though the health on the hatchery has gone all the way down to only 28. Another mothership is just about to spawn. Brute Lords can actually single-handedly win this fight, though, because there's still no blink. With good positioning, yeah, this is a good positioning right over here. Those Brutes are going to deal a ton of damage. Now, there are 2 Tempest. The Tempests are really dangerous. 6 additional Corruptors coming up. Don't lose any of the Corruptors, please. 2 Stalkers and Archons. Oh, no, he's getting over-eager. The blood pressure is going up too high. Suddenly, those Brutes are unprotected, and it does seem to be a one-way trip. Go Gators not ready to send these units back. Mothership is going to activate cloaking for everybody. Brute Lords are, of course, only air to ground. We do have reinforcing Corruptors somewhere. Where are they? Okay, the Brutes are going to try and make their way back, but the Stalkers and the Tempest are picking them off one at a time. Reinforcing Zerg units have shown up. There is no detection available. Although at this point, the cloaking field from the mothership has worn off. Now it's Florencio who needs to get to spending his money. Void Rays are coming up. They're a good answer against both Brutes as well as Corruptors, but not so much against Hydras. At this point, actually, there's no good counter anymore against the Hydralisk. There's no, for example, Colossus here, no Storm, none of that. So I guess Charge is a decent option, but again, we are 31 minutes into this game, and there is not a single Forge upgrade. Florencio loves the Forge, but it's not for upgrades. Another cloaking field gets activated. Corruptors, okay, are gonna jump on top of the Tempest, and the Tempest are not within range right there of the mothership's cloaking. Brute Lords, in the meantime, are destroying the rest of the army on the ground. That being said, though, if you have no detection, oh god, if you have no detection, the Brutes are gonna have a really hard time. New base at the 3 o'clock is just about to finish up. That's gonna give Zerg some much-needed income once more. I think the Void Rays are gonna win the game, though, at this rate. There's no gas anymore, or no resource anymore for the Zerg to really produce a large clump of Hydralisks. And ultimately, in 32 minutes of action-packed StarCraft 2, it's our Protoss player, Salt Bay, who obtains the victory.